All right, let's get started today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying the class so far. Here is where we'll really get into the actual design and aesthetics of websites. Let's just start out by saying it's impossible to teach you everything about great web design in a short 10-minute video. However, I'm going to do my best to show you some of the basics. The three things we'll go over today are 1, design elements, 2, design principles, and 3, design composition. Let's start with design elements. There are 6 design elements: line, shape, value, texture, color, and typography. We'll go over each of these briefly. Line essentially is a connection between 2 or more points. It can be an implied line or a connected line. Line can create space or volume. Line can also have character. So when it comes to graphic design, you can see that within these poster designs, line can also be used as a tool to create movement and to move the eye across the page. Shape, we come to rely on shape as a kind of meaningful way we understand the world around us. You know, the little shape on top and the bottom shape, one is curvilinear, one is sharp. If I were to say one of these is named Gobo and one of these is named Kiki, we'd probably all agree that the top shape is Kiki, the bottom shape is Gobo. That's because we all have a slight amount of synesthesia, which is this sort of crossing or mixing of the senses. So you can see these different websites and how they utilize shape to create a different sense of energy or emotion or a different meaning based on the particular client or brand. Value refers to the overall lightness or darkness. Value can be functional, it can create a mood, or it can actually limit the chaos by just keeping a monochromatic or grayscale color scheme. Texture can create a sort of haptic or felt response within the viewer. It also helps us relate to the real world. This very digital two-dimensional screen that we're always looking at, some designers choose to use texture as a means to relate it back to our everyday textual and felt experience within the real world. Color has 3 variables: hue, which is the actual nameable color, like blue, red, green; value, which is the overall lightness or darkness of the color; and saturation, which is the intensity of the color. So on the regular color wheel, if you move clockwise or counterclockwise around the color wheel, that changes the hue or the actual color. As you move towards the center, that sort of changes the saturation or the amount of gray is in the color. And then as you add white or black to a color, that changes the lightness or darkness. I would with your websites, change 1 or 2 of the variables, but not all of them together. So if you're going to change the amount of colors, then don't change the value or saturation. Or if you're going to keep it to 1 color, then you could probably play with different values or saturations. You'll also want to develop a color scheme. Color schemes are just organized ways of managing color. Monochromatic color schemes are a single color. Analogous are colors next to each other on the color wheel. Complementary are opposites, and triadic or equidistant from each other on the color wheel. Color, or kuler.adobe.com, has got a great website for you to play around with different color schemes for your site. So I would definitely come up with color schemes that are meaningful. So the laboratory color scheme has sort of synthetic magentas, bright blues. We want that when we go into a hospital, right? But maybe your brand or your client is more organic and is more earthy, so then that would dictate the color scheme. So with all your designs and all your with your site design, you're going to want to come up with your own color scheme. Typography is really important. Good type starts with not just choosing the right font, but you'll also want to think in terms of the size of the type or the scale. The kerning, which is the space between letters. The leading is the space between lines. The density of the type, uppercase, lowercase, italic, bold, the color of the typography. Changing all those variables will give you more variety. Changing too many of the variables will make it chaotic.